Hello. This reading is from a book called I Was Told There'd Be Cake, Essays by Sloane Crosley. And Sloane Crosley is pretty funny. I mean, it's a good read, it's pretty quick. All the essays are humorous and fun. She seems like a pretty cool person. I'm just going to kind of get down to it. Sloane Crosley. This chapter is called The Beauty of Strangers, from I Was Told There'd Be Cake. I know it seems like a late start, but I was 22 my first time. Like many women in New York, I lost it in the back of a cab. Unlike many, I got it back the next day. A man showed up at the address printed on my first business card and asked the receptionist if anyone had lost a wallet. These days, I barely remember to take business cards with me when I leave the house. Then, I was so thrilled by their shape and texture and significance, I'd carry no fewer than 10. I offered to pay the man, but he refused. He mumbled something about being in the neighborhood and took the elevator out of sight. After he left, I discovered that he'd already paid himself $17 on a monthly Metro card. The important stuff, however, the wallet itself, the credit cards, the driver's license, was all there, which might explain why 2 years later, when I left my wallet in a cab again, I made none of the usual motions to erase myself. I canceled no accounts, changed no codes, and threw away no keys. My past thoughtlessness had gone virtually unpunished, and thus with my often inconvenient mix of faith and practicality, I decided to give it a week before I called Visa. A game of financial roulette. And on the 7th day, my wallet showed up in my mailbox, and it was good. Even the cash was still inside. I tried to feign shock around my roommate, who left his belongings everywhere and always, never to see them again. Once his bike was stolen from our 5th floor fire escape. I attempted to console him, telling him that if thieves had found a way to take it, they probably deserved it. Plus, they had left his helmet, which I found to be a kind gesture. When my wallet came back to me, he was in the apartment, and thus I was appropriately grateful to and awestruck by the universe. But really, this kind of thing happens to me all the time. It's not that I think I'm particularly lucky. I'm not. On some level, I'm conscious that it's a numbers game, and the longer I live here, the more likely I am to court small disasters. For example, everyone I know who grew up a true New York City kid has been mugged at least twice. This is logical, but fortunately the game doesn't manifest itself only in the negative. The other night, I thought I felt someone sneaking up on me and I knew my time had come. I just knew it. I felt a hand tug at my arm and turned wide-eyed to see a very tall woman. She said, "Sorry, but..." and then tucked the label on my collar back inside my shirt. I laughed, touching where the tag had been, and thanked her. It was then that I decided the city is looking out for me. As they say, now more than ever. And perhaps that's it. Perhaps it's a post 9/11 humanity that's trickled down to everyday courtesies like not stealing other people's wallets. Perhaps it's simply that niceness has always been New York's best kept secret, kept quiet to keep the tourists out, like how it really doesn't rain all that much in Seattle. In all likelihood, what's happening is not as romantic as a shared front against the rest of the country, but rather a basic sympathy for our fellow urban dwellers. It's a do unto others type selfishness. I probably wouldn't leap in front of a crosstown bus for anyone only because I wouldn't expect someone to do that for me. But I would expect them to tell me that my fly is undone and take a certain amount of pride in informing others of this myself. In the past 5 years alone, I have left my wallet in a cab an astonishing, nay impressive 6.7 times. The 0.7 is for all the times I would have gone ID-less into a bar had someone not slid across the pleather back seat after me and said, "Forget something?" With the exception of that first $17 idiot's fee, my wallet gets returned to me fully intact every time. Every single time! Am I jinxing this streak by exposing it here? Am I courting a trip to the Herald Square DMV? I did consider that. I also figured this would be the ultimate test of my theory that it's not me, not just my luck, but something more organic about the way the city works. I was absent-mindedly picking my nails and pondering all this on the subway platform when a small Korean woman came out from behind the median mat barrier and smacked my arm down. "Sloane!" She shook her head and held my fingertips in a bunch. "No bite!" People turned to look. Apparently my mother had found a way to morph into this meticulous petite woman in a pink jumpsuit. No, I slowly realized this was not my mother, but a different woman, one who had painted my nails 3 weeks prior at a local salon. She turned slowly away from me and sauntered down to the other end of the platform without looking back. After that, the question was no longer whether the city was looking out for me, but whether it was butting in. I liked the barely there idea of a guardian angel. I could do without the babysitting police. When does neighborliness become meddling? It's got to rain in Seattle eventually. With few exceptions, our actual neighbors who share our addresses are strangers as well. Naturally, this does not prevent them from voicing their opinions about how we live. Recently, I came home to find a note pasted on my door with duct tape. Apparently, I had been throwing my trash bags in the incorrect bucket outside my brownstone, thus leading to some bad bucket overflow. This deviant behavior had to stop. I felt the note was on the brusque side, but perhaps that was just the duct tape talking. Shaking it off, I plucked said note from my door and threw it out in the trash can under the sink. After about a minute of unrelated activity, I froze. I rushed back into my kitchen, flung open the cabinet, reread the Sharpie scrawl, and realized this guy was going through my trash. How else could he know it was me? I now pulp my receipts, double knot my trash bags, and leave the occasional crumpled VD pamphlet in there for good measure. But the thing is, in his own inadvertently selfish way, I know he meant well. The man didn't want trash outside his house, and his casa is my casa. His island is my island. In the end, it is rare that our random acts of kindness do not achieve their intended effect. It doesn't take much more than those magic words, "Hey, you've got toilet paper stuck to your shoe," to make me fall in love with this place again. Maybe I'm easy. Maybe it's all about inverted selfishness. The cuticle cop was well-intentioned, but because I would never do what she did, it pissed me off. I'm just not a good enough person to smack a stranger. Thus, as I stood there waiting for my train, I felt my understanding and empathy for my fellow New Yorkers swell like a big glowing orb of Care Bears and butterfly kisses. I said the absent-minded professor's prayer of gratitude for every glorious time a wallet-shaped envelope appeared in my mailbox. I smiled at people holding my same subway pole, and they smiled back. Because this is the beauty of strangers. We're all just doing our best to help each other out, motivated not by karma, but by a natural instinct to aid the greater whole, one stray clothing tag at a time. Except for the curmudgeonly guy on the corner of 13th and 7th who saw me smoking a cigarette and told me it would kill me. Asshole. Sloane Crosley. And the book is called I Was Told There'd Be Cake, a book of essays.